First of all, my brothers and my sisters, Ramadan is a break for us Muslims during the entire year to move away from the worries, the stresses, and most importantly, the alluring materialism that the world constantly provokes us with. It's a time to take a break, a little bit, from the lusts and the desires and temptations of created things, and to get closer and higher and spiritually elevated towards the creator of this world. It reminds us about our purpose in life, where we came from. We came from our creator Allah, and He did not create you for a foolish purpose. And why we are here. The ultimate happiness of a person is their connection with their creator Allah and their worship of Him. Because worship is the way to feel the presence of Allah and to connect with Him. And for you to feel a love that no one can imagine. This love, my brothers and sisters, as the scholars called it, is part of the feeling of the worldly paradise. That you feel Allah's closeness to you. And where we're going, where are we going after here? We're going back to our Creator Allah. And so to help us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a break, a little school, if you like, of training our soul, our mind, our hearts. And we can only do that by moving a little bit away from the distractions that distract our hearts and harden it. We need softening of the hearts. And one important thing about Ramadan and fasting, effectively, is to help us reset our mindset, the way we think, the way we feel. We move away from self-entitlement to start thinking outside of ourselves, which then, believe it or not, lessens a lot of our worries and stresses, a lot of our anxieties. Because the more we focus on our own needs, the more we're going to get disappointed if we try to micromanage it. And that's where anxieties and depression comes from, because when we hone in too much on the little things, they build up. So how about a little practice and exercise that Allah gives us for a month, where our food and drink and our lusts and temptations in the daytime are put on hold for a bit. And so the mind starts to focus on this world, on the survival things, food, water, drink, health. And there's a little bit of this study, I don't know if you've ever done business, something called Maslow's law of human priorities. And the most important thing for a human, before anything else, is their safety and security and their survival. So when the food and drink and your safety and security is not there, people don't usually worry about little things. We don't have first world problems. Even a third world problems become easy. And we realize that refocusing on what's truly important, which is our hereafter, our soul, and the reason why we're here, and focusing less on the materialistic gain of the worries of the life, it makes us then realize how often we worry about things that we gratify in our minds, but they are in fact minute, not worth our mind's occupation. It's a little reset. It's similar to when they do studies on social media addictions, that when we move our eyes away from the screen for a few weeks, our mind resets. And believe it or not, studies have shown that depression lessens and anxieties lessen, self-image lessens. A recent study in the Pew Research Center and other researchers there's a plethora of them now, that people who are between the ages of 18 to 30, on average, they spend 93% of their free time, whatever free time they've got left in their life, 93% of it is spent looking at a screen. So about 7% is just left and they don't know what to do with it. We need a break. Also, brothers and sisters, Ramadan is a time, as I said, of taqwa. And taqwa to elevate ourselves to a height of piety and closeness to Allah. Remember last week I spoke about the story of Asya, the wife of Pharaoh, mentioned in the Quran. That when she was under torture, and she's a queen who can snap her fingers and change civilizations because of her power, she chose to remain on her faith while she was being tortured, and instead she smiled under torture when she said, "My Lord, build for me a house near you in paradise, near you in the gardens." Doesn't mean Allah is in the gardens, but make it a nearness to you, that I feel your presence close, and save me from Pharaoh and the oppressive people and his people. She didn't think the other way. She didn't say, "Why me? Why am I being tortured? Why has God done this to me?" That's the state of the believer. They think the other way. And that is pure strength and power. Nobody can control you when you're like that. It's not about when you've got luxuries and everything's going well for you that defines your value. The value of a person is the one when the going gets tough. How strong do you adhere to your morals and your beliefs, your faith and your steadfastness? Even as children, if we see our fathers or our mothers break down, the children feel unsafe. They need parents who don't show them their vulnerabilities too often, because then the child feels scared. A wife who marries a man who she would love for him to be a man and to be there for her because she feels she's going to be vulnerable in times such as pregnancy and so on. If she feels that he's not really there, there's a fear that comes out, and it comes out showing in different forms. Sometimes it shows in as if she's showing strength, sometimes it's about her complaints, sometimes it just moves away. But the idea is, we all rely on people who, when the going gets tough, they can be steadfast. And so men and women, children, all of us, we need our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if we go through tests in life, that's where your strength will rise. The weak people are the ones who break at the sin as soon as something small goes away from them. You know, when we were little children, we never knew the taste of chocolate or sweetness, ice cream and cakes. We were happy to have that breast milk, which tastes whatever it tastes like. And then we were introduced to some hard food, solid food. And then when we discovered sweetness, we don't want to go back to the other stuff, to the vegetables anymore. And you take the sweetness away from it, we cry as if we were entitled and wronged. But it's only because we tasted it, it wasn't really yours. So the more we taste of this dunya, of this world, the more we forget that we came from nothing and we came empty and we return with nothing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to see things from a different light. So He tells us, stay away from food and drink in the day and your temptations. And Allah knows His creation better than anyone because He created us. He knows what's best for our soul and spirit. It also teaches us an aspect of faith we often misunderstand, which is qadar. Qadar is predestination, pre-measurement of Allah's will and plan, good or bad. Ramadan helps us to think of qadar, Allah's will, as a protection and a guard for you, not a negative or enemy to you. Qadar is when one door closes, another door opens, or it is to open another door. When a loss or tragedy happens, it is for a gain and a relief from another place or to ward off a worse thing in the future. Change the mindset and your outlook on life and hardships will change too. It is like the right key to the right door. Allah never wills harm on anybody. Allah doesn't want harm on anybody. But it is our interpretation of His will when it is negative and bad. Sometimes when it looks good, we think it's okay, but sometimes it's worse for us. And Allah knows and you do not know. So surrender your matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always. And trust in Him. Then do what you can from the abilities He has given you. And keep going again and again till you meet Him.